Coming up next on the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime, a Royal Rumble shocker, a brand new Smackdown champion, and a devastating injury to a Raw star this past Monday night. All that, along with everything else going on in the world of professional wrestling, right here, right now on the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time. For the first time in February, Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Octavius Tiberius, the alleged backyard, one-time knockout, straight-edge, hardcore Hall of Famer hero. Yes. How the hell are you, David?
I'm great. I'm missing,
That's a matter of opinion.
I'm missing the shenanigans of San Antonio, though.
Are you?
Yeah.
Do you, I think you got it all out of your system this past weekend.
I got quite a bit.
Yes.
But there's always still a little bit more.
How was your bath?
Fantastic.
In the river. The water wasn't very clean. It's been a while since they drained it.
No, it was filthy. And it wasn't that funny.
That's probably why you were thrown in. Yes, indeed, folks. We were in San Antonio for the Royal Rumble this past weekend from WWE, and we are now here back at Casablanca on Brady in Milwaukee. And our big story, of course, David Hero, is in fact the results of this year's Royal Rumble, which surprised many with some shocking twists and turns. The first of which is a brand new SmackDown champion was crowned, a brand new WWE World Heavyweight Champion was crowned. His name is John Cena, defeating AJ Styles after about 25 minutes of tremendous wrestling action.
It was a great match. They told a great story. They didn't need all the gimmicks everyone else needed. They went out there and they punched, they kicked, they did moves, they did reversals, they did everything you could expect.
Did they slap it up, flip it, rub it down?
They did that too.
Oh my.
Yes. Oh no. But
No,
it was a great match, and you know what's funny is everyone's saying, oh, but you know it's a big, it's disrespect to Ric Flair. Come on.
How so?
Because he tied the record.
John Cena did indeed tie the title reign number of Ric Flair at 16. So only two men have done that in the history of this business, the first of which is Ric Flair. And of course, now he is joined in that elite club by John Cena.
John Cena deserves it. He's earned it.
Has he?
Absolutely.
In 10 years versus Ric's
John
20 plus
Cena
years?
has been a bigger star than Ric Flair.
Whoa. I think that there's some truth to that statement if you don't look at the fact that they came from two very different eras.
Well, yeah.
There was no bigger star than Ric Flair during his heyday.
No, Hulk Hogan was the biggest star.
During his heyday, Ric Flair, which was pre-Hogan. 70s and early 80s. In the territories, absolutely.
I beg to differ.
He main evented all up and down the South, all up and down the Midwest. He main evented in Texas. He was the big star in professional wrestling.
But he wasn't the world champ then.
Many times he was. First was champion in 79.
He didn't. Was it 79?
I think it was. Or that was the plane crash.
I think it was in the 80s when he finally beat
Dusty Rhodes,
and Harley Race.
Yes.
But I mean, John Cena is a mega star. He is the biggest star in wrestling right now. He's the biggest star in the last 15 years.
Biggest star in the last 15 years. Bigger star than Ric Flair, you say?
Absolutely. Oh, I can't wait till next week's Feedback Friday on this one.
Well, I'm trying to see your point, and I get again two incredibly different eras.
Yeah, but if
the
you look
TV era, the monetization era globally of wrestling, yes, John Cena. The era that made it possible for John Cena, Ric Flair.
Sure, but as in every sport, there's always a younger, stronger, better
Why are you
guy.
whispering?
I'm not whispering. I'm just saying Ric Flair.
It's a lack of confidence, folks.
John Cena is
this vitriol he's spewing.
When it's all said and done, more people will be talking about John Cena than Ric Flair.
For recency, probably.
I'm just saying.
Well, all of a sudden, why do you put Ric Flair in the same category as CM Punk and all the other guys you hate? Finn Balor.
No, not at all. I never.
So it sounds like you just did.
No, not at all. If you ask Ric Flair, he would say John Cena is a bigger star.
Ric Flair did indeed endorse the fact that John Cena has tied his championship record. Many people had speculated that this was something that Ric Flair held on near and dear to. But even though he may, because he is still the first and will always be the first, he still said he's very proud and honored by John Cena tying that ring.
Space Mountain. John Cena doesn't have a roller coaster named after him.
Well, I'm not sure Ric Flair does either, but yes. Big news as well as... It's loud down here tonight. What is going on? Is there a party?
There's a party.
Huh.
Yes.
It's weird. Maybe we should do this on a different night. Roman Reigns does not take the title from Kevin Owens. And surprisingly enough, Jericho, who was suspended in the shark cage above the ring, well, that ultimately didn't matter because it was a surprise person who contributed to the victory by Kevin Owens, and that was your guy, Braun Strowman.
And that was fantastic. Braun Strowman became a main event player after that, and they also protected Roman Reigns by not putting over Kevin Owens clean. Great match, physical match. Both guys threw out all the stops.
Yeah.
You know, they had chairs and tables and everything imaginable. And Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns, if not for AJ Styles and John Cena, had match of the night.
Matches were both around the same amount of time, 25 minutes each or so, and it was actually an interesting Rumble. It went almost 4 hours, yet it still seems like something was missing from a timing standpoint because there were only 4 matches before the actual Rumble.
Well, because
So 5 matches total on a 4-hour show. I know the Rumble takes long,
Right.
but it still just feels like there's a gap of time there where
but it worked.
it did.
The
It
timing
absolutely
worked.
did.
That match was great. I thought both guys did a great job, and everyone that hates Roman Reigns had a hell of a match with Kevin Owens.
He had a hell of a match with Kevin Owens. He also would have a hell of a night overall in the Royal
How
Rumble,
about Braun
becoming
Strowman?
the catalyst for the victory.
Braun
and the
Strowman
winner.
had his breakout night
Did
at
he?
the Royal Rumble.
I love how they explained it on Monday night. Because Braun Strowman came out, confronted Kevin Owens, played the clip from a month ago where Kevin Owens said he would get a championship opportunity, and Strowman saying, "Be careful what you wish for." They wrapped it all back up.
It was brilliant.
It was well done.
It was well done, absolutely.
Also, Charlotte gets a win over Bayley in yet another good matchup. Charlotte just gets better and better and better.
You thought that was a good matchup?
I thought it was a good matchup,
I thought it
absolutely.
was basic.
You thought it was just Bayley?
No, I mean, Bayley lacks that star power.
Here we go.
She does. Charlotte has been fantastic. She's believable, but
And Bayley is not?
no, she's
Not
not.
believable in what way? That she has a chance of defeating Charlotte?
Yes. Charlotte just seems that much of a bigger
She's
star.
got no chance in hell? Well, Charlotte's the champion.
Right.
She's
but, I
Mrs.
mean,
Pay-Per-View.
But she acts like it. You know, I understand Bayley's the underdog and the girl next door and all that fun stuff, but
And Charlotte's the number 2 draft pick.
she is, and she's starting to earn that right now.
Starting.
She's starting to
You're
earn
never
it.
going to give it to her,
I
are you?
will, absolutely.
Do you know she's my MVP with 765 points on my draft team?
Really?
She has scored the most points of anyone actually in the draft
Because
entirely
she never loses.
on pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Strategy here.
Yeah. How about that, cheater?
So would you seemingly want to see this Charlotte Bayley thing be over?
Absolutely. I want to see Charlotte and Nia Jax.
She's busy with Sasha Banks.
I know, but eventually I want to see Charlotte and Nia Jax.
So how does Nia Jax have star power as she has less fan reaction than Bayley
Nia
does?
Jax is a big, strong woman. That can,
She's strong like both?
That can match Charlotte in the strength department, if not
Okay.
overpower her.
Okay. Well, also, folks, there was the Royal Rumble match itself. This was 30 men over the top rope. We talked about the 22 names that had been announced and the 8 that weren't. Some interesting choices to fill those spots, including Ty Dillinger, number 10, the perfect 10, from NXT, including
James Ellsworth.
James Ellsworth as well, who had to be convinced to enter by Dean Ambrose, including Apollo Crews, who was another surprise entrant, and some big
And
other
Enzo,
names.
that was a shocker.
Enzo, yes, it almost got the. Well, he was definitely in the match for the shortest period of time on Sunday. That didn't, I don't think, capture the record, but it was one stiff clothesline from Goldberg that took him out. But anyways, there was the top 3. Goldberg, The Undertaker, and Brock Lesnar. That's what everybody was talking
They all
about.
shined.
That's what everybody, one of the 3 men everyone thought would win the matchup. You were adamant that it would be The Undertaker who would win the Royal Rumble matchup. Here's what is interesting about it. Up until number 25, because I think they were 26, 7, and 8, Lesnar, Undertaker, and Goldberg. They were in somewhere in the last 5, I think. Up until that point, the match for me wasn't doing anything. You know why? Because I was waiting for the names.
Yeah, you were waiting
I
for the
was
stars.
waiting for the stars.
You weren't appreciating the little things that were going on.
Such as?
Braun Strowman dominating Big Show, dominating Mark Henry, dominating the entire mid card, and then Baron Corbin.
He just doesn't seem like a big star to me.
And then Baron Corbin eliminating Braun Strowman.
Yes.
which was
well,
huge.
Baron Corbin will have a huge elimination later on as well.
Right, but that elevated Baron Corbin. So you
Baron
elevated.
Corbin was the standout performer in this matchup, in my opinion.
Yes, he is.
Not knocking it, I'm just saying, up until 25, it was lacking to me because we hadn't seen those stars. So the real story of the match wasn't going to develop until the end of the match.
Right.
And it would. Goldberg would come out, The Undertaker would come out, Brock Lesnar would come out. But, folks, nobody expected the entrant at number 30, which was Roman Reigns.
Which was freaking brilliant.
Why was it brilliant, David Hero? The
Because-
crowd hated it.
but
This
here's
is
why.
bullshit, they chanted.
You can't bring out Finn Balor.
He was not in it. I
You know
thought
why?
he would be.
You know why? He's not cleared. He
Okay.
can't.
We didn't know that last week. He was
Right.
going for his last
Right.
evaluation last week.
And Samoa Joe had his big debut on Raw.
So he didn't need to be in it.
Right, so who else do you put in there?
There was talk of Bobby Roode, which made no sense at all because we'll talk about what happened
Yeah,
with him later.
Right. But, I mean, it was, obviously they weren't, here's why they had Roman Reigns come in at number 30.
Why'd they have Roman Reigns come in at number 30?
Because everyone wanted the Balors, they wanted Taker, they wanted all these other guys to win but Roman Reigns. When Roman Reigns comes out at 30, you think he is now the favorite to win.
Oh, absolutely. Not the
Okay.
favorite, the one, the
So,
guy that was going to win.
No matter who then wins that match, as long as it's not Roman Reigns, the crowd will be happy.
So how
And
is
here's
it,
what they did.
they
by
being WWE?
Yeah, by having Randy Orton win, now Randy Orton is now a top guy again. He's now a main event player.
Yeah.
So you still have main event Taker, main event Goldberg, main event Lesnar, main event Cena, main event Reigns. Now you have main event Randy Orton as well.
Well, let's work to that point of the winner of the Rumble. Reigns, I agree with you. It was a brilliant move by WWE to bring him out and swerve 52,000 people,
And they did.
and including those that were watching on the WWE Network. But let's not lose sight of the fact that in less than 30 seconds, upon entry to the Royal Rumble matchup, Goldberg eliminated Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar was eliminated by Goldberg in less than 1 minute and 26 seconds.
so
The
fast.
story continues, and this is a tremendous. They've created an underdog in Brock Lesnar.
What they did is they had Lesnar come out and destroy the entire ring. He did.
'Cause he should
killed-
have.
He killed everybody.
Left him laying.
So they build him back up to being strong, and then Goldberg punches him right in the mouth and tosses him out, which then elevates Goldberg even more.
It was perfectly executed. The look on on Lesnar's face as well after being eliminated was fantastic. But let's not forget, he didn't win it. Goldberg didn't win the
No, he did
matchup.
not.
He was actually eliminated
By Undertaker.
The Undertaker.
By the legend.
Which led to a little bit of a stare down between those two as well. Story teased or story developing?
Just teased. It's going to be Lesnar and Goldberg at Mania.
There is no doubt about it. And
Yeah.
that was crystal clear
Yeah.
coming out of this matchup, folks. But
Yeah.
even with the entry of Roman Reigns in the matchup, the winner of the 2017 Royal Rumble would be Randall Keith
Yeah.
Orton.
You know, and Taker might get Roman
Out of
Reigns,
nowhere.
And Taker might get Roman Reigns this year.
Because Roman Reigns eliminated the Undertaker from the matchup as well. Undertaker didn't look so good physically in the
He
the
just had
matchup.
hip surgeries 4 months ago.
Okay, so then he shouldn't have been in the match.
No, but they need him right now.
They did. But here's the brilliance about Randy Orton winning that matchup, folks. He has been in somewhat of a bit of obscurity, as we've talked about on this show, as being part of the Wyatt family. And we've asked many a time, why is he with Bray Wyatt? Why is he a part of the Wyatt? He was sort of put in the corner for the last 6 months since SummerSlam in his match with Goldberg. I'm sorry, Lesnar. Why do I always do that? I can't get the two.
Oh, they look so similar.
With Lesnar, and it seems like that was a deliberate act to bring him secretly as a top contender in the Rumble without anyone realizing it.
Absolutely.
And then winning the matchup. And now, with this, we have the planned match at this time of Randy Orton versus John Cena at WrestleMania. We're going to talk more about whether or not that's going to happen and some interesting facts about that matchup later on in the program. But overall, a good Rumble. We experienced it live. It's different when you experience it live versus experiencing it on the television broadcast. I did watch the Rumble matchup when I got back into home on Monday. And it came across well on television. Well, it came across better on television, actually, as opposed to being in the cavernous Alamo Dome. But
What a big building.
it's a monstrous building. But what did you think of the show overall, David Hero, the 2017 Royal Rumble?
I thought it was a B+ show.
B+? Yeah. Okay, that's good.
It is
right?
good.
Would've been-
You had 2 great title matches. You know, the girls had a decent match.
girls, they're women.
Women. And then I loved how the Rumble played out. I really do. It told a great story. It elevated the mid-card. It elevated certain guys. And it made more main event players.
Well, folks, that was a bit of extended coverage of this past Sunday's WWE Royal Rumble.
Coming up next on PrimeTime, it's this week's Raw Report, this week's Smackdown Report, hot news, and the 3 count.
The biggest party event of WrestleMania weekend is back. WWE Hall of Famer Kevin Nash presents Shenanigans Orlando. Join Nash and his friends for a huge VIP party Saturday, April 1st. Party with the biggest stars of wrestling at the pub at Point Orlando on International Drive to kick off Wrestlemania weekend. Don't miss Shenanigans Orlando, hosted by Kevin Nash. Tickets are available now and going fast at PWRshow.com. That's PWRshow.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time here on Fight TV and YouTube. Now, we talk about Fight TV. Big news coming later in the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, about our relationship with Fight TV. That's F-I-T-E, Fight. I want to make sure, though, that you get in where you fit in. And what I mean by that is grab your electronic device and be sure to download the Fight TV app. Fight TV is available on your mobile devices via the Google Play Store and the and the iTunes Store. You can download the app. It is free to get. It costs you not a penny. And as a matter of fact, if you go to the website that you see on your screen right now, fight.tv/PWR, you will be able to directly download it to your mobile device, and you will have the app on your phone. And here's what's great about the app is you can take it, play whatever content you want, including Pro Wrestling Report on Friday nights, Ring of Honor on Monday nights, TNA Impact Wrestling special one-night-only shows, all kinds of great wrestling content. And you play it on your device. You can either watch it on your phone screen or you can send it to any Wi-Fi device, your Apple TV, your Roku player, your Wi-Fi enabled television, wherever you may be. It picks up the signal and does all the work for you. So Fight TV, that's F-I-T-E, Fight TV. It's definitely where you want to be watching the Pro Wrestling Report. With that, though, David Harrell, let's get to this week's WWE Raw report.
What a show.
Well, what a show. What do you mean by what a show?
It was loaded.
I'm a little surprised by that.
It was
really?
loaded.
I thought it was a bit lackluster.
How do you figure?
Well, let's talk about what happened. Let's talk about the big news coming out of it, though, David Hero. Breaking news as of just yesterday, Seth Rollins apparently re-aggravating his knee injury. And it's unknown at this time how severe the injury is. It's also unknown at this time whether or not Seth Rollins will be able to attend this year's WrestleMania and be a part of it, or if he will miss his second WrestleMania in a row.
Can you imagine what a big blow that would be?
You know, you got to feel bad for Seth Rollins. You got to feel, and I'm sure he wants nobody's pity, wants no one's remorse, but it's just very, very unfortunate that a star that has been so great and was being built to such a tremendous position at WrestleMania 33, now that all may be in jeopardy again. He can be there, but will he be able to perform in the match?
I think so. They still got a couple months. They got 60-some days.
He was out for 6 months last time.
Yeah, but they're not saying he's, they don't know what happened.
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
We know he was being evaluated yesterday.
Just tape an
it's being
aspirin to it, put a
reevaluated.
brace on it, he'll be fine.
I'm not sure that's going to be enough.
It usually works.
So if Seth does miss WrestleMania, where does this Triple H story go?
Good question. I have no idea.
It's been built so well.
Maybe Dean Ambrose and Triple H?
Yeah. Here's what happened, though, folks. Here's what led to the injury. It was a debuting Samoa Joe on Raw who came out and did Triple H's bidding when Triple H finally said he would confront Seth Rollins. He did not. He sent Samoa Joe in to do his dirty work, if you will. Joe did it real dirty.
He demolished him.
And demolished Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins re-aggravating that knee injury in the process. And as you said, David Hero, now that we know Samoa Joe is on Raw, part of the Raw brand, and aligned with Triple H, he's been called up. He's on the main roster. You still say this was a better debut for Joe than it would have been the previous night in the Rumble.
If he's in the Rumble, he's eliminated. He's not going to win it. He came across as a legit badass on Monday Night Raw, destroying Seth Rollins, putting the boots to him, choking him out. Now he's the #1 henchman for Triple H, which is huge. It's a way better spot than being in the Rumble.
Wait, do you think he could have won it?
No.
Okay. All right.
Because you're not going to debut a guy and have him go straight to WrestleMania to headline.
Okay. WrestleMania, you're right.
Yeah. Look how the SummerSlam experiment went.
It went great. Finn got injured.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're saying that would be just a call for an injury for Samoa Joe?
No, I'm just saying that.
You're morbid. You're sick.
How do you figure? I'm
because
being honest.
you're wishing for injury on
people.
people.
No, I'm not. I'm wishing anyone injury. Next.
We're still talking about Raw. Your guy, Braun Strowman, gets his championship opportunity.
Yes, he did.
And he didn't win the title.
He got screwed. It was a bunch of shenanigans.
Roman Reigns got him back, is what happened.
Yeah, that's not fair.
How not?
Because...
Was it fair Sunday night?
Reigns should have let Strowman beat Owens because he can't beat him.
How do you know
and
this?
then he can beat Strowman.
How do you know he can't beat Strowman?
He hasn't beaten him yet, has he?
I don't know if they've had a fight or a match.
No, I'm saying Reigns can't beat Owens.
Oh, well, because somebody's always gotten involved.
Exactly. With Braun Strowman, he's his own island. He has no one on his side. Who would have thought Braun Strowman would be this
Not
much
me.
of a player on Raw?
Not me.
I did.
I just don't. It is not organic. I talked about this with Dean Ambrose.
How?
It is not organic. I just don't. I feel it's forced. It's not natural. Brock Lesnar, it's natural. Goldberg, it's natural.
How is Braun Strowman not natural?
I just don't feel it. As a fan, I just don't feel it. I don't
Just
see him
like
as a
White
legit
Country Boys,
monster.
do you?
Well, that part is a little scary, but I just don't. It just doesn't. There's nothing special about him.
He's like 7 feet tall.
That
and
happened
jacked.
to him. That's not anything he did.
But you can't teach that.
Well, you can.
You
With
can-
Big
can-
Cass, just wish someone would teach him how to wrestle.
You can teach height. Oh, so you're saying Big Cass is a terrible wrestler?
I'm saying once they get in the ring, things are a bit different than their entrance. I've said that before in here. I'm not afeard of it.
Afraid of it?
He needs to be better in the ring, Big Cass.
Well, he's a giant. And how many giants?
Is he really?
How many giants are that good?
A giant by whose definition?
He's 7 feet tall.
Overall, your thoughts on Raw this past Monday night?
I thought it was solid. They had a lot of star power, and the ending was amazing.
Amazing?
Oh,
You were looking forward to Samoa Joe debuting?
like that? Absolutely.
Huh. Did you think
What a
that
great
Triple H would really get face-to-face with Seth Rollins, or did you feel something else was
No,
coming?
I thought if Triple H would have the stare down and get
Does it make the match for Mania?
yeah. But I mean, what a great spot for Samoa Joe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Does Raw need Samoa Joe?
They need that Samoa Joe.
They need that Samoa
Triple
Joe.
H needs that henchman.
So Raw was a better fit for him than SmackDown would have been.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, folks, that is all that we have for this week's WWE Raw.
Coming up next on Primetime, this week's Smackdown report, hot news, the 3 count, and DHHS.
The Soder family thought they'd take a road trip this summer. A little fun, a little sun. What could possibly go wrong? Even under the best driving conditions, semi-trucks can still be dangerous. The results of being in a wreck with 40 tons of steel and speed can be catastrophic. And it only gets worse when you don't have Gruber Law Offices on your side. If you or a loved one has been injured by a semi-truck, call Gruber Law Offices now. One call, that's all.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time here for February 2nd, 2017. Did you crawl back in your hole this morning, or did you run around and play?
I was running around and playing.
Oh, so spring's coming early this year?
Absolutely it is.
That's good to know. That's very good to know. With that, let's get to this week's
Are you calling me the
SmackDown
hedgehog?
report. No, groundhog. What's the difference between groundhog and a hedgehog?
Spelling?
Let's get to this week's SmackDown report, folks. And, big news as Randy Orton and the Wyatt family, Randy Orton, of course, the winner of the Rumble, confronts John Cena. And this leads to the announcement of all the participants in the Elimination Chamber matchup. The Elimination Chamber happening in just 2 weeks on the WWE Network. Let's review those names as they have been announced. Obviously, John Cena, who will be defending his WWE Championship in that matchup. But his opponents will be Dean Ambrose, AJ Styles, the former champion, Baron Corbin, Bray Wyatt, and The Miz. What do you think of that lineup,
I
David
think it's
Hero?
great. I mean, those are all the top guys on SmackDown right now.
And they look good in that imagery for Elimination Chamber. They all look like they should be there. Except, here we go, Miz, right?
No, I was going to say Ambrose. He's the Intercontinental Champion.
He is the Intercontinental Champion, which should make him next in line for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Right. You know, I just think, you know what, there's a lot of cool stuff I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm looking forward to seeing Corbin and Styles, Bray Wyatt and Styles.
Now, I know we said this, David Hero, on this program many a time, and we're quite adamant about it, that there was no way AJ Styles wasn't walking into WrestleMania in Orlando with the championship. We were both wrong.
I was mistaken. You were terribly wrong. But, I mean, they need Cena. They do. But he
But they
might
have Cena.
not be the champion going into Mania.
Do you think he won't be?
He might not.
Then why do it? If they're going to would they put it back on AJ?
No. I think they could put it on Bray Wyatt.
Do you think, because this was a decision made, whether it was for Cena or maybe it was against Styles, do you think that's a possibility, that there was some hesitation in AJ Styles being in a championship matchup on the grand stage WrestleMania?
No, not at all.
So then why not?
Cena might be a transitional champion going into the chamber.
Wow. Who might he transition it to? Let's look at those in the
I
chamber.
think it could be Bray Wyatt. Then you have Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania.
It's a good story. Is it a good enough story, though? Because I'm not sure the fans really ever gravitated to or cared about the whole Orton-Wyatt family thing.
I think the fans will be happy if Bray Wyatt is the champion.
He, too, missed Mania last year?
No, he didn't.
He didn't? He missed it the year before? He had a back injury. I believe he missed it last year.
Wasn't The Rock in the Wyatts, or is that was in California?
Yeah. Could be interesting if that scenario were to develop, especially because Bray and Orton are still aligned with each other, and
so
Luke
that
Harper
could be
is
very
not.
Interesting.
This could all be a big work. Now, with that, regardless of that, if that were not to happen, let's say Cena does come out of Elimination Chamber still the champion, then it would mean it is him versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania. That's not leaving a good taste in a lot of fans' mouth.
That's why it won't be. Because Cena can be in another main event. Orton can headline with Bray for the Smackdown title.
It's a waste of those two talents.
It is. It's now
because you can spread it out further.
There's so much top talent you can now spread out through the entire show.
And Cena wasn't on the show last year. I mean, he was there, but he did not perform a matchup last year as well. Interesting. So would you do Orton Cena or would you do Orton
I do Orton Wyatt.
There's more there. Absolutely.
Or Orton Ambrose.
Okay. What about Orton Ellsworth?
No.
Did you like his shirt on SmackDown? He's got some bedazzle now, some bling, got a little necklace.
You know
He's all
good
fancy.
for James Ellsworth. He is living the dream.
Till it turns into a nightmare. That is this week's. Well, actually, before we do that, what did you think of SmackDown overall this week, David Hero?
I thought the 2-hour show is the way to go.
The 2-hour show is the way to go.
It
It's all about
absolutely
rhythm and rhyme on SmackDown,
it
isn't
really
it?
is,
Champ
yes.
that runs the camp.
Yeah. And you know what? Ambrose and AJ had a great match. AJ goes over again.
Yeah. Well, Baron Corbin got involved.
I just saw AJ pinning Ambrose.
Your monitor went out?
Yes.
That's it for this week's SmackDown report.
Coming up next on Primetime, it's this week's Event Center. Hot news, including a huge announcement about our coverage of WrestleMania live from Orlando, the 3 Count, and DWHS.
The biggest party event of WrestleMania weekend is back. WWE Hall of Famer Kevin Nash presents Shenanigans Orlando. Join Nash and his friends for a huge VIP party Saturday, April 1st. Party with the biggest stars of wrestling at the pub at Point Orlando on International Drive to kick off WrestleMania weekend. Don't miss Shenanigans Orlando, hosted by Kevin Nash. Tickets are available now and going fast at PWRshow.com. That's PWRshow.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The final leg of this journey known as the Pro Wrestling Report. Damian Nelson, the star, sitting next to his handyman, David Hero.
The handyman? What are you implying?
You ever heard that song?
The handyman can?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
Let's get right to this week's hot news, actually.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you feeling it?
Yeah, well, we had the event center a moment ago with the lovely Linda Kay, and now it's time
She
for hot
looks
news.
fantastic
We're going to do DWHS in a few moments after the 3 count, so just to mentally prepare yourself.
Okay.
But with that, hot news, NXT Takeover this past Saturday in San Antonio, Texas. A brand new NXT champion was crowned in Bobby Roode after he defeated Shinsuke Nakamura. A bit of a surprise there.
Was it really?
I think people felt, including me, that Nakamura had a bit more time as champion.
But Bobby Roode's been fantastic.
He has been fantastic.
And you know what? He does better interviews.
Yes, he does.
Okay. So,
And somebody's got to talk about NXT heading into WrestleMania, don't they?
absolutely.
I'm talking outside of WWE.
And Roode is, I mean, Eric Young has been elevated, Bobby Roode.
Sanity.
Joe is now up
Gone.
on the main roster. Look at all these former TNA stars kicking butt in NXT now.
You got Rude, you got Joe, you got Styles, you got Young, you got...
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about Xavier Woods, I mean, he was a
Oh, yeah,
TNA
true,
guy.
true.
You know?
He did come from that realm.
And then, of course, Manic. TJ Perkins,
Yeah.
first cruiserweight champ.
Good point. Good point. It's interesting. Two things of note to discuss. Firstly, Triple H's recent comments about NXT in a media interview he gave, I believe, before the event, saying NXT isn't quite where he wants it to be right now. The point I think that you just made is a reason for that. He's lost a lot of talent.
They've all been called up. You know,
So it's
lot
a bit of a
talent's been
rebuilding
called-
phase.
Oh my God, yes.
Is it smart to rebuild it around Bobby Roode, or should they be going in a different direction?
No, Bobby Roode is a locker room leader. Great talent, great talker, hard-working guy. You know, same with Eric Young.
Yeah.
They have the right guys. They have the right foundation. Now these younger kids need to step up and elevate.
Are they going to get to a point soon in the company, WWE, including NXT, are they going to get to a point soon where they have too many good tag teams?
No.
We've got a tag team turmoil coming to Elimination Chamber.
But
and
remember how good the 80s were when you had the British Bulldogs, the Killer Bees, the Rougeaus, Demolition, Sheik and Volkov, you know, Orton and Morocco.
Oh, yeah. There were a ton of them on one brand.
Powers of Pain,
Yeah.
Young Stallions, Heart Foundation.
So the point being, they have a lot of great tag teams, including DIY, down in NXT that they can keep for a while.
Absolutely.
And I think it's important to note that I think some fans mistakenly view NXT as punishment,
No, not at all.
and someone not being called up as being held back.
NXT gets those guys ready for the WWE style.
Well, and more importantly, NXT is its own brand now, basically, and with that brand, you need stars.
AJ Styles has said in interviews that when he first came in, it took him 2 to 3 months to get to feel comfortable with the WWE style.
Yeah. Well, Bobby Roode is, as we said, the new NXT champion. Overall, a good event, sort of under par with previous NXT Takeover events. I think they might be running into a potential saturation problem, but they're still selling out all these venues.
And you know what?
So that
It
means
was a
people
great
still want to
show.
see it.
A lot of people like the one in San Antonio.
Yeah, but I've also heard, and I would agree to a degree, that it wasn't as good as the Survivor Series edition from Toronto. But again, you don't have the same talents, not working with the same talents
right.
that you were at that time. Well, folks, Linda talked about it a little bit earlier. David, got big news as it pertains to our coverage of WrestleMania 33 from Orlando, Florida.
I cannot wait for Orlando.
WrestleMania 33 returns to Orlando for the first time since WrestleMania 24. Was it 24? In 2008?
It might have been. I wasn't at that one.
I know you weren't. But what am I? Well, anyways, folks, we are going to be broadcasting for the first time ever live from WrestleMania weekend from Orlando, Florida on the Fight TV network. That's F-I-T-E.
Oh, I cannot
Fight.
wait for that.
On Thursday night, we'll have a special kickoff broadcast. On Friday and Saturday, we will then be live from WrestleCon, covering all of the goings-on of professional wrestling over WrestleMania weekend. And I tell you what, if you've looked at all the stars that are going to be at
There's
WrestleCon
a lot
alone,
of stars there.
there are going to be so many people who are going to be joining us on this program and talking about WrestleMania. And most importantly, a special co-host will be joining me from that event over the course of WrestleCon weekend. Yes, indeed, you've been replaced. I'm giving you the weekend off.
How does that happen?
Well,
I'm the brand.
Well, in your own head, yes, you are the brand. But
Who's
anyways,
replacing
folks,
me?
joining me from WrestleCon on Fight TV, F-I-T-E, Fight, all weekend long from WrestleMania weekend will be none other than SoCal Val.
Who did she ever beat? Did she main event and win a cage match at Blizzard Brawl?
I have no idea what you're
Never
talking
happened.
about. Well, what is going to happen, though, is she's going to be joining me and hosting along with me at WrestleCon on
How do I get
PWR
to
special
play? I mean, I know
coverage
she's
on
hot
Fight
and
TV.
all,
You're
but
going to
how
be
do
part
I
of the
get-
show, David, here, but you're busy. You're working. You're going to be working the talents and whatnot, and getting them prepared
I'm
for
working tables.
the broadcast.
Yeah.
So you play your role, she plays her role, just so long as you know your role, because she knows hers.
Does she?
Yeah. It's going to be great. All of that, of course, leads up to the big shenanigans party, which occurs on Saturday night at the pub at Point Orlando, which is literally right next door to where all the WrestleCon festivities will be happening. And David Hero, tickets are selling 3 times as fast as they did last
it's
year
gonna be insane.
for that event. And keep in mind, last year we sold out 3 weeks in advance of the event. So if you're thinking about getting your tickets, don't be that person who thinks about it too long and gets shut out, because the doors will be closed and sold out. We don't want that to happen to you, so get your tickets. Shenanigans, VIP party with Kevin Nash. There's some more names, I think, that you've recently acquired.
We got
Jesse Goddard's, I hear.
Robbie E. is coming.
Yes.
Ken Anderson.
Ken Anderson is now on board. Fantastic, good.
Freaking awesome.
That's Anderson.
Anderson.
Shelly
Martinez will be there.
Oh,
Thea Trinidad
yummy.
will be there.
Yummy.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
You get the full list, folks, at PWRshow.com. Names are being added weekly to the Shenanigans VIP party.
And you know what?
Hosted by Kevin
Nash. When I was
Nash
at San
in
Antonio,
Orlando.
the King of the Mountain said he wants to show up.
The King of the Mountain?
Jeff Jarrett.
Is that right?
J-E-double-F.
He's been there before.
Yes, he has.
Mm-hmm.
J-A...
Double R-E?
Yeah, double
T.
Can you imagine that?
You never know who you're going to see. Like I said last year, folks, and we didn't know this, but when I blinked and looked up and out of the elevator walked Sabu, and I said, oh, all right, well, I guess he's here. That's the kind of people.
But the Carlitos were there, Jinder Mahal. I mean, it was
the Shenanigans party.
Ridiculous.
It
Terry
was.
Runnels.
And it will be ridiculous again this year. PWRshow.com, folks. But don't forget, get all of the coverage of WrestleMania weekend exclusively. We're going to be the only broadcast entity on television reporting live from WrestleMania outside of WWE. That's fight.tv/PWR. Fight.tv/PWR to download the application, which is free. And that coverage, by the way, will be free as well. Live coverage from WrestleMania weekend featuring yours truly and SoCal Val. Fight.tv/PWR.
You know, free's a 4-letter word.
Is it?
Yeah.
F-R-E-E.
Yeah.
Let's, with that, go to this week's 3-count, ladies and gentlemen. And David Hero, it's in this topic, or in this segment, we talk about 3 items, spend about a minute on each, and move through them rather swiftly. The first of which is something we talked about last week on this broadcast, is what would be considered a success and what would be considered a failure as far as the attendance numbers for WWE at the Alamo Dome for the Royal Rumble. The announced attendance was 52,000 and some change. Now, if you look at the announced attendance from 1997, when they were there before, that was about 60,000 people and some change. Place holds 70,000. What would you rate this draw of 52,000?
I think it was huge because they didn't have the same size set and backdrop.
He used the TV stuff, yeah. Well, that was smaller in 97, yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean...
They had lasers in 97, though.
But I'm just telling you...
Frickin' lasers.
Anything over 50,000 is huge.
Here's the perspective.
That's a WrestleMania crowd.
Yeah, here's the perspective. People, and it's not as negative as I thought it would be, but people will knock the company for not being able to sell out. And I think their production design of the building overall...
Did you see any empty seats?
Not at all. Not on the broadcast. And the whole section above our suite was tarped off, though, but who cared? Because it just worked out good. And this is not defending WWE, but this is simply saying that some wrestling companies struggle to draw 500 people. And they can draw 50,000 people.
You're talking about TNA, aren't you?
No, I'm just saying it's true. WWE sometimes struggles to draw 20,000. They drew triple the audience, basically, for what they would normally draw for this event, and did so without much hoopla or fanfare. You know, I mean, it was a WrestleMania feeling being in San Antonio. There were wrestling fans everywhere. And it was a success. I think it was an overwhelming success for WWE. Number 2 on the countdown, 3-count rather, this week, is another highly controversial subject that I don't understand why it's such a big deal, but I'd like to give you the chance, David Hero, to stop the discussions, if you will, on the golf cart that was used at the Alamo Dome to cart some of the talents to and from the ring.
Did you notice
on
everyone
Sunday.
ran down to the ring?
Most did, yes. Those who could.
Right.
I thought Sheamus was going to pass out by the time he got there.
It's a timing thing. They want to get those guys down there as quick as they can to have the action in the ring because it was such a long walk or run for certain guys.
Yeah.
It would take them a minute and a half to get in the ring, and then the buzzer goes off.
I think it was, well, to that point, the buzzer went off anywhere from 1 minute and 15 seconds to 2 minutes and 45 seconds between entrants.
Were you timing it?
Well, you know, that's
You
what
love
you
that
do as a
stuff, don't you?
journalist. That's what you do as a journalist. But yes, I think the challenge and the controversy is that WWE tried to hide it and never showed it on TV.
It's okay.
There's so many things that happen behind the curtain, if you will, that you never see. That it was interesting. I thought, now when they've done this before, WrestleMania 6, WrestleMania 3, I don't remember the other events if they have used them for that. They made them part of the show. So why didn't they do that in this case?
Because they wanted to focus on the action in the ring, not the guys coming down to the ring.
Because you have to in a Rumble match, right?
Yeah. Too much goes on.
Fair enough. Another thing, final topic, number 3 on the 3-count this week is the pre-show. The WWE Network pre-show, which was 2 hours, for the Royal Rumble this past weekend. And it featured 2 matchups, including a championship matchup, the tag team championship matchup, where the team of Gallows and Anderson became the new tag team champions. And they did so on the pre-show. So is there now as much shine, I guess you can call it, on the pre-show events as it is the actual
because they want
pay-per-view
people to
events
tune in for the pre-show. When you have 3 matches, including the tag title match, where there's new tag team champions, that's big.
Should the pre-shows be that long? 2 hours?
No, not at all.
For the fan in general, should the pre-show be that long?
Well, if you want to sit there and watch 6 hours of wrestling, sure.
That may be all that some watch, though, because as you know, the pre-show is broadcast live on YouTube, on Facebook, I think, and on a lot of social media channels, and it is a final marketing play to get people to order the network. But 2 hours just seems excessive to me. It's
2 hours for 3 matches and a lot of talking.
A lot of talking, but you had Jerry Lawler and Shawn Michaels involved.
Yes, you did.
It was a good move, by the way, for them to bring Shawn Michaels out as part of the end of the pre-show to hype up the San Antonio crowd in the arena as well. With that is this week's 3 count, folks. With that, it's time now to go to the spoken word of one David Hero, this week's DWHS.
Yes. Let me tell you about the Royal Rumble. The WWE and Vince McMahon used your emotion against you. He did. They did. They all did. They took the hatred that the fans have for Roman Reigns and stuffed it down their throats. And everyone thought, Roman Reigns is going to now win the Rumble. People were cussing. There were so many F-bombs. If you go on YouTube, someone even spliced together a montage of fan reactions, everyone complaining about Roman Reigns. It was brilliant because what you got with everyone, with 52,000 people booing Roman Reigns, they were going to cheer for whoever was going to win the Rumble, as long as it's not him. And that's exactly what happened. The shock and the awe of Randy Orton hitting the RKO and then eliminating Roman Reigns, I thought, was a Royal Rumble moment, something huge, elevates Randy Orton to the top of the card, and keeps
like
Roman Reigns right there at even keel. And with that, David Hero has spoken.
It was an act of wrestling brilliance from WWE this past weekend in their manipulation of us, the audience, into their own favor. It felt good.
Oh, my gosh.
I love it when that happens, to be honest with you.
It was brilliant.
Well, folks, I want to remind you to subscribe to the Pro Wrestling Report here on YouTube if you happen to be watching us on that platform. Also, be sure to comment on our broadcast because tomorrow we'll bring you yet another edition of Feedback Friday where we'll share some of your comments about our broadcasts of the last week. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Damian Nelson, at David Hero, at Linda K22, and of course at PWR Show as well. Until tomorrow night on Feedback Friday for that one. Damian Nelson saying thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you again tomorrow on Feedback Friday.